Modupe Ehirim is a founder and lead counselor at the Right Fit Marriage Academy, where she helps men and women become the kind of partners their spouses look forward to coming home to. Through the Right Fit Marriage program, she guides young professionals to intentionally design and build healthy, lasting marriages. A certified SYMBIS facilitator and family systems engineering practitioner, Modupe works to restore dignity in marriage, parenting, and family life. She holds a first-class degree in chemical engineering from the University of Ife, now OAU, and has had diverse careers spanning engineering, banking, retail entrepreneurship, and leadership in business associations. She currently serves on the board of Oasis International and chairs the Africa Speak 2018 Trust. An avid reader and passionate mentor, she teaches marriage topics daily to over 19,000 members in the Right Fit Marriage Academy Facebook community and also popular Mama Krena's relationship show on Wazobia FM. She is the author of Marriage is Not a Trap and 30 Reasons Why Couples Quarrel Over Money. Modupe is happily married to Boniface for over 37 years, and their marriage is blessed with 4 amazing children. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please welcome Modupe Ehirim.
Good morning, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm going to be speaking for 10 minutes. Juwon has already said a lot of the things I want to say. So I will not be repeating the things that he has said. I'm going to speak to you for 10 minutes on the topic, moving from love to responsibility. Please let me have my phone. Thank you. Moving from love to responsibility. My name is Modupe Ehirim. I've been working with individuals, singles, young people, and married people for the last 9 years. And I'm an engineer by training, so I tend to look at everything from the roots. And so I've been looking at relationships and marriage from the roots. And one of the things that I do, and which my colleagues also now do, is that we don't use words that people have already fixed meanings in their mind. So if you come to me, for example, I won't do premarital counseling for you. I won't even agree that I do premarital counseling. Why? If I say premarital counseling, you already have some idea. What I do is premarriage preparation, so you have to listen to me. One of the words that I don't like using is love. Why? Because in the minds of many people, they think that, if somebody says, I love you, it means we have a connection and life is good and we will just be good for one another. Most of the people who have been abused in life, love is the reason why they were abused. So we're going to move from love alone to responsibility. Yesterday, I spoke with a young couple. The boy is Yoruba, incidentally, from my hometown. I didn't know him before. It was when they got into that session. The girl is Igbo. In today's world, if an Igbo man if a Yoruba man and an Igbo man want to marry, if their parents speak against it or anybody speaks against it, the young people will say, it's a modern world, this. That's love speaking. Responsibility is what I did for them in 1 hour yesterday. And this is what I said to them. I happen to be in an intertribal marriage. And I explained to them that when I told my own parents I wanted to marry an Igbo man, my mother said, okay. She went to her Igbo friends to ask them, Biko, when somebody becomes an Igbo wife, what does it mean? And then she came back to me and said, Tor, I like that this guy that you have met, you love him, Tori Torun. But the thing is this, when you marry him, you will no longer be a Yoruba girl. You will be an Igbo wife. This is what it means for you to be an Igbo wife. One of the things she told me then, which people will find funny now, is that when you go to the village, you have to be tying 2 wrappers, because in the village, a woman who is married is known by the fact that she ties 2 wrappers. That surprised me a bit, because at that time I wasn't even wearing Iran buba and I didn't know how to tie gele. Anyhow, I love this guy. Oh, I'm going to go with him. A number of other things were done like that. And then my parents also called the young man and said, "To, you're an Igbo person. You probably want an Igbo family, and that's okay. But this girl you want to marry, she has no village in Igbo land. She's 27, and she's just going to begin to learn what it means to even be an Igbo person. As such, you will have an Igbo family. But you see, the kind of Igbo family that you could have had if you married somebody who was born and bred in the village like you can't have it with this woman." What was my mother doing? She was moving us from love to responsibility. You owe it to yourself, first of all, before you start loving anybody, to understand what marriage really is. If you marry today, I don't know how old you are. My father lived till 97. So please do quick calculation. How old are you now? If you live as long as my father, how many years do you have left? I want somebody to tell me their own. Just do 97 minus your current age. 51. 81. Well, different things. But if you decide to marry today, that decision may be for love, but that decision is also a decision that is going to influence the rest of your life. So that the young lady and the young man yesterday, I think the lady was 25, the guy is 30, and then it dawned on the young lady that a decision to marry this guy is a decision about the next 72 years of her life. When you ask yourself that thing, many things will shift in your head. Now, some people will say, if the marriage doesn't work, we can always go. Know it today if you didn't know it before. A divorce can never cancel a marriage. And I will explain to you. What a divorce does for you is that it gives you a document that says you are no longer married. If you marry at 25 and you divorce at 30, one, there is a possibility that you have children. Once you have those children, you don't need to like that man or woman. Your lives are tied permanently. You people may never talk to one another again, but your lives are still tied permanently. No divorce can undo that. If you suffered mental health challenges in that marriage, it's God alone that will save you. You will recover, but your life cannot be without scars. No divorce can take that away from you. If all of these things did not happen and you leave that marriage after 5 years, 5 years of your life is gone. The fact that those 5 years cannot be recovered will impact you. So it's two things I've said now about moving from love alone to responsibility. The first of them is this. Understand that this decision that you are doing to love people is good. However, love brings people together. A willingness to be responsible and to understand responsibility is what will keep you going. In 2 weeks from tomorrow, it will be 40 years that my husband and I have been married. It is 45 years because it was in August of 1980 that we met in the NYSC camp. It is not love that has kept me and my husband together. Even this 2 or 3 weeks ago, we still frowned and shouted at one another because, like Juwon said, when myself and my husband married, there was no 24-hour television. There was no internet. There was no ATM card. What that means is that all the things they taught us and we learned that have made us happy people, the times have changed. I used to be a sweet lady who after work, me and my husband, we sit down, we will gist and everything. And suddenly I've become a lady who is doing online sessions. it's a little hard for my husband, who is not interested in technology, to understand. In the same way, television brought EPL into our house. When I met my husband, he was already a Liverpool fan, and he had been a Liverpool football fan for 15 years. When he was in the UK, he used to go. But when there was no television now, me and him could sit down and play Scrabble. All of a sudden, now. So, essentially, it means that, like Juwon said, it's not just that you need to change. The environment is changing. And for you people, the change is happening at a much faster rate than it did with us. So you can't afford to be somebody with a fixed mindset. What does this mean? To move away from love alone. Love, attraction is what God gave us, you know. When I see Juwon, I like him. He's somebody that I would like to be with. Maybe my heart is even making giz-giz. And when he eventually talks to me, that's all that God gave you that one for. That doesn't tell you anything about the person. Responsibility is what will make you look at yourself. Like I told the young lady yesterday. She said, does that mean that she's going to give up her culture? I said, nobody is asking you to give up your culture. However, when you go into an intertribal marriage, the people who are not there when you take the decision are going to be suffering the implications of your decision. So, for example, now, I married an Igbo man. An Igbo man married me. We decided to have an Igbo family and everything and everything. Every day, my children, all of who are above 30, get conked on the head for not speaking Yoruba. Get conked on the head for not being able to eat this kind of soup. Get conked on the head that they don't know how to kneel properly. Even though me and my husband have done the best that we can. They live in a country where it is very important for you to be from one tribe or the other. Now, they don't belong to, the people who are looking at them think, these people think you are not really a part of us because you have half. Another group of people think you are not a part. They have to live with that consequence. Were they there when me and my husband decided to marry? So when you decide to marry, you need to look at things that way. That's what it means to move from love to responsibility. I'm going to touch on two other things that young people think about. The other thing that young people think about is, they say, he has said that it's okay, I can be going to my church, and everything. No, that one is love. I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to use the kind of things that your pastors used to talk to you. It is irresponsible for you to do that kind of a relationship and not come to a mutually agreed position. Why? When it is time to parent, which church will influence your parenting? When it is time to spend money, and believe me, our faith affects how we spend money. What will happen when your children begin to ask questions about faith? What will you give them? So it's not just a matter of, we have agreed that, no. And we have even agreed that when the children start growing up, no. It is very critical that you and the person, that is what responsibility is. Why? Because the decision you are taking is going to impact generations after you. One of the questions my mom asked me after I graduated from university is this. She said, Dupe, God has no grandchildren. Which faith are you going to practice? My mom wasn't asking me which church would I go. My mom wanted to know, do you know what? And this was what she said. She said, because when you have your own children, what are you going to give to them? That's what made me to start reading the Bible. That's what made me to stand family. That's what made it. People who know me know that for many years, my husband was not interested in church. See, that's the kind of thing that people will be fasting and praying about. I didn't need to fast and pray about it. If I open my eyes to marry somebody who is not interested in going to church, it is my responsibility to live my life in a way that honors God without allowing that to be an issue for me. God loves him more than I love him. When God is ready, he will save him. Did I pray for him? Yes. However, it is still my responsibility in that family to ensure that my children go in the right direction under God. Once I made my bed, I have to lie on it. Of course, excluding the situation in which Junwo said, if you're not safe. The last one I'm going to talk about, moving from love alone to responsibility, is every time you sleep with a woman, especially the men, please take responsibility. Taking responsibility means you recognize that if you sleep with a girl, she can be pregnant and a child can come. I'm not saying you should like the lady, but you want to ask yourself, am I ready to be a father? Because your decision to enjoy sexual interaction could result to the birth of a child. I'm not going to say all the reasons why God said, because you know it. But you see, responsibility. That's what we're talking about. So you don't sleep with a girl because you are not ready to be a dad. That's just it. And the same thing for you, young lady. You don't allow anybody to persuade you that if you loved them, this is what they would do. Because, excuse me, I know that we will shame you and all those kind of things. That's not the reason why you should not do it. The real reason that you should not do it is because that decision to have sex is going to impact the life of a child who didn't ask to be born, who is going to be in trouble because you wanted a few minutes of sexual satisfaction. And so you want to be young people who look at life responsibly, who say to themselves, if I do this today, what is the implication of it tomorrow? What is the implication of it in 5 years? And when you begin to look at love in that way, you would not find it difficult to say no to somebody who is not safe for you. Yesterday, after I finished with the couple, we spoke for about 1.5 hours. I asked the young man, you want to marry an Igbo woman? Have you studied Igbo culture? Because even if she moves over to your house and she begins to live with you in a Yoruba way, when things happen in her family, you would have to relate with them as Igbos. You need to be knowledgeable and be aware that you actually want, you're willing. When my mother died, I'm the oldest child. In Yoruba culture, it doesn't matter that I'm a lady, I'm the person. In Igbo culture, people would only talk to the man when they come. My in-laws were going to come and see my dad. My dad was mourning, so he could not be attending to them. I'm the one. I told my in-laws behind the scene, I said, when you walk into our house, it's me you are going to give the rope of the cow. I know I'm your wife. When I finish that one, I will come back again and become your wife, and then you can do with me anyhow. They respected it. Has nothing to do with, I've lived, by the time my mother died, I had already been married to my husband, I think, for about 37 years. I do not have another village of origin other than Ubumosho. He knew that when he came to marry me. Every time he comes to talk to my people, he's going to talk to them like Ubumosho people. The fact that me and my husband chose to start an Igbo family, and in my home for 40 years, we were only cooking Igbo food. My daughter's favorite meal is still amala. Why? Every time she visited my parents, they interacted with my family. So there is no fear that because I was keeping an Igbo home, my children will now not know Yoruba ways. So that is essentially, if I'm closing now, this is what I would say to you. I don't know the young man who is talking to you, and I don't know the young lady that you're talking to. Number one, if you do decide that this is the person you want to go for, know that that person, if I guess that the average age here is 30, you're going to be with that person for the next 67 years. That's the first thing you want to keep. The second thing you want to keep is that when you make the decision to go with that person, it has implications for the rest of us. If you don't make a wise decision, then pastor will be worried because they will have to be talking to you and your husband all the time. Mama pastor will be worried. Church members too will be fasting and praying. Your parents will be unhappy. His parents will be unhappy. So your decision to marry, and the decision of who you are marrying is your responsibility. We know nobody is going to come into it for you. But please remember, the rest of us are going to be carrying all the palavers that you are. And it goes in all ways. I've not talked about financial responsibility. I've not talked about integrity. I've not talked about becoming an adult who has what we call independence living skills. In closing, prepare yourself for marriage. Even now that you are not yet dating anybody, read books, look for programs, because the world has changed now. Even me, I can't guide my children enough. Why? I've told you. How can I help somebody who is doing remote work from home when for how many years I was waking up at 8 o'clock and going to Tinubu Square and coming? What I understand as work is very different from what my children are doing as work. Thank you again for having me. God bless you all.